My name is John Oliver. I was the Bishop of Hereford until the end of last year, and I've been involved in campaigning on environmental issues for a good many years, especially when I was in the House of Lords. So I was very pleased to be here today, taking part in this wonderful service to launch Operation Noah. There's an enormous problem about climate change. It's a tremendous threat to the whole of the future of the planet, and most people don't really want to know about it. And I think this occasion, this launch of the Rainbow Pilgrimage, as we're calling it, is an attempt by the Church to take an initiative and help people to understand how serious the problem is, but that we can do something about it.
We're here joining everyone else because climate change is the biggest threat this planet faces. We all need to work together if we're going to force governments to act.
We're on this march because we're concerned about the planet and about global warming and all the effects of the pollution and abuse of God's creation.
Well, we're affected now, aren't we? We just want the planet to still be here by the time he's my age, and by the time his kids are my age, I guess.
This is an ecumenical pilgrimage, Christians of all denominations, and certainly it's something which people of other faiths as well can join in, and everyone of goodwill. But we believe the churches need to give a lead, and today has been a wonderful start.
The Earth is undoubtedly warming up. We have very good evidence of that. Over the last century, the Earth has been warming more than it's warmed for thousands of years. One reason for that, and particularly the warming over the last 50 years, is because we're burning fossil fuels, coal, oil and gas. We're putting billions of tons a year of carbon into the atmosphere as carbon dioxide, and that carbon dioxide absorbs heat radiation. It acts like a blanket over the Earth's surface and keeps the Earth's surface warmer than it would otherwise be. Hence we talk about global warming. But then with that global warming, there comes climate change. If you say, what are the impacts that that's going to bring? Well, the first impact is that the sea level will rise. If you live in Bangladesh, there are over 10 million people living below the 1 meter contour. And where do they go? They get their food from where they live because the farming is so good. It's very good agricultural land in the Delta region in Bangladesh, but they have nowhere to go. 25 million people in China, then the islands in the Indian and Pacific Oceans. Many of them will disappear, and where do those people go? Many little countries will disappear. And then, of course, there'll be more heat waves, and there was a heat wave in Europe, 2003, in which 20,000 people died because the temperature was so extreme. And the extreme of that temperature was completely unusual. It was human-induced climate change because of our burning of fossil fuels. And when 20,000 people die, that's a lot of people. And you may well call climate change a weapon of mass destruction because of the impact that it has. And then there's the effect on the hydrological cycle. This is on water supplies. With a warmer world, you'll get more rainfall. You'll get more intense rainstorms because there's more energy in the climate system that comes from the way the water cycle works. And further, they will get more droughts. Now, droughts and floods are the most biggest disasters the world knows. They cause more economic loss and more deaths and more misery than any other disasters. So more intense ones and more frequent ones are very bad news indeed, especially for people in poorer countries.
Bring yourself, come walk with me. See this place.
Christian Ecology Link is launching Operation Noah with the help of the Environmental Issues Network of churches together in Britain and Ireland. What Operation Noah stands for, what it tries to say is that if we've caused the problem of climate change, then we can also create the solution. And the way Operation Noah invites us to do this is through 3 easy steps. Firstly, simply sign the Climate Covenant in the campaign card. This invites people to put pressure on world leaders to create a framework for a just, safe and equitable solution to climate change which will last for years and years to come. Secondly, it's important that we back that up with action ourselves. The first thing that we suggest that people do is to change your home electricity supply to renewable power. And that can easily be done in the space of a phone call, but it's one of the simplest things we can do to cut down on our emissions. Thirdly, it's important that we spread the word.
We haven't just got to talk the talk, we've got to walk the walk. And Ed Beale, on our behalf, has been walking the walk all the way from Land's End to John O'Groats, and he's got this far. And here he is, Ed Beale.
I felt really challenged by God to take risks for my faith and take this message out to other individuals and help in preserving God's creation. And so I came up with the idea of doing a walk and a sponsored walk with talks along the way each weekend to church groups to tell them about Operation Noah, to encourage individual action, because I believe that individual action, as we've heard, is absolutely crucial, because the government needs a mandate for change. They're not going to change unless there are individuals who are pushing them to change.
Sunshine and streams, shivering trees, people below.
In the Christian tradition, theological validity of covenant goes back to the importance of the whole covenantal relationship between God and creation from the deepest sources of our faith, from the Jewish covenant, the covenant which is then extended to Gentiles and then becomes universal. But the problem is that we've seen it as between human beings and God, and we've excluded the earth. And as we're all aware, this exclusion of the earth, this desacralizing of the earth is part of the problem we're dealing with in climate change. How to bring back that notion, that very full notion of God's covenant with the whole of creation, that's our task and responsibility. And if you think about it, the idea of covenant always included response, responsibility and relationship. And again, the problem being that we've cut out the earth.
With all the hope of a newborn child, wiping the slate clean for summer.
I'm enormously grateful for this campaign for the Rainbow Covenant, because I think that there is enormous goodwill and energy to be tapped with Christians in parishes and also beyond. And I think that one thing that gives me tremendous hope is I think there's a new revelation of the Holy Spirit for our times. I think the Holy Spirit is calling on us to make these connections which we haven't made before, and to make them beyond the boundaries of Christianity with other faiths and people of no faith, because it's commitment to the earth which connects all of us, and commitment to life on earth. And I think that's really a tremendous source of hope.
Sweeter water runs down the fen. Sweeter sounds from the old church bell. Sweeter, can't you believe as well?
We've managed to do something about the extinction of various species, And now we've got to use some of that energy, some of that enthusiasm, and translate it into a whole new way of living, which reduces our greenhouse gas emissions, our carbon emissions, which make sure the world actually survives. And that really is in question. And we believe that the churches understand this and need to help other people to understand it too, so that there's a tremendous groundswell of enthusiasm and commitment, and which makes the politicians take notice and do things. People often wonder what they can do about it, and of course we have to have political action at national and international level, but every single thing that every individual does will make a difference and will really help. And this means travelling a bit less, using the car less, turning down your central heating, switching off lights, using low energy light bulbs, sharing occasions when you can travel together instead of on your own. It means a whole range of things where you think about what you're doing and whether it's actually adding to pollution, particularly CO2 emissions and energy use. And the more we can cut that back, the better it will be. So everyone can do something and every little helps, though we need some big things as well.
Sweeter water runs down the fell. Sweeter sounds from the old church bell. Sweeter 'cause you believe as well. Why stir the dream